Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. Senate decries rising insecurity as House of Representatives debunks U.S. allegation of state-sponsored genocide. Cutting falls at 31st Nigerian Economic Summit as Vice President Kashim Shettima woos investors with Nigeria's stability. UK police confirm Manchester synagogue attackers' claim of allegiance to Islamic State terrorists.
And in business, World Bank projects Nigeria's economy to grow by 4.4% in 2027 compared to 2025, forecast of 4.2%.
And in sports, Egypt and Ghana secured tickets to 2026 FIFA World Cup after emphatic wins away from home.
Welcome. Tonight begins now. We begin tonight at the Upper Legislative Chamber, where lawmakers have raised concerns over incessant bandit attacks affecting several zones in the country in recent times. This followed a motion of urgent national importance raised by the Deputy Majority Leader on several incidents in his senatorial district demanding urgent federal intervention. Wednesday's plenary also saw the induction of new entrants filling vacant seats in Nigeria's Red Chamber. Our National Assembly correspondent Sagi Ibrahim brings details of these and more from the Senate.
To the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The second plenary of the week began with the swearing-in of two new lawmakers, winners of the by-elections recently conducted to fill seats in the Senate, which were declared vacant by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Nwachukwu Chibuzo of the All Progressives Grand Alliance replaces deceased lawmaker Ifeanyi Uba from Anambra South, and Joseph Ikpea is the senator-elect for Edo Central, replacing Monday Okpewolo, who had left the Senate to run for governor of his state. In his remarks, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, welcomed the new entrants and charged them to familiarize themselves with Nigeria's constitution and the Senate's guiding rules to enable them carry out their responsibilities effectively.
Your colleagues who have been here will continue to assist you so that you get used to the nuances of proceedings of lawmaking. The content will show you the proceedings.
Thereafter, the presiding officer went on to read more correspondences from the President. First was a notice seeking for new external borrowing and debt refinancing totaling $2.3 billion, alongside the issuance of a $500 million debut sovereign sukuk in the international capital market. Other correspondences include notices for approval of individuals appointed into several federal agencies, including a new board for the National Communications Commission, 2 federal civil service commissioners, a new chairman of the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, among others. All letters were committed to the relevant Senate committees for further action to revert back to plenary within 1 week. As the proceedings continued, a motion of urgent national importance was raised by the Deputy Majority Leader, raising concerns about the spate of insecurity ravaging several local governments in his senatorial district. One after the other, lawmakers expressed dismay about the situation, calling for quick government intervention.
Bandits attacks, kidnappings and killing have reached alarming levels in recent weeks, forcing thousands of residents to flee their communities.
Our people are suffering, and we've got to do something promptly.
Refocus and give firm instructions to military units, at least to guarantee their area of operation.
We know where the terrorists are gathering. It's in the public domain. Ordinary Nigerians need to see action.
In the end, all prayers in the motion were adopted, including a 1-minute silence in honor of the deceased. Meanwhile, the Senate President also read out a notice announcing the defection of Enugu East lawmaker Kelvin Chukwu from the Labour Party to the APC. In his letter, the lawmaker cited internal wranglings, unreconcilable differences, among others, as reasons for his decision. The lawmakers also observed a valedictory session in honor of Solomon Eruga, a lawmaker in the 7th Senate, who died recently. A minute silence was held in his honor. From the National Assembly of Abuja for News Central, Sagi Ibrahim.
Many thanks, Sergey. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Army has deployed a full brigade and heavy equipment across parts of Kwara South and Kwara North, following directives from President Bola Tinubu to eliminate bandits operating from the state's forests. According to a statement issued in Ilorin on Wednesday evening by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Rafiu Ajakai, troops have begun operations in communities around Okeode and Babanla in Ifelodun local government area. Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak, who had earlier met with President Tinubu over insecurity in the state, expressed appreciation for the prompt response and the military's renewed intervention to restore peace in the state. Away from that, after 3 days of intense public-private sector dialogue in Abuja, the 31st Nigerian Economic Summit has wrapped up. Participants and stakeholders agreed that Nigeria's economic reforms must now move beyond stabilization to deliver real impact on citizens. News Central's Joshua Imarayi has been covering and brings us major highlights.
From October 6 to 8, government officials, policymakers, business leaders and development partners converged for the 31st Nigerian Economic Summit on national dialogue themed the reform imperative, building a prosperous and inclusive Nigeria by 2030. Opening the summit, Chairman of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, Olani Yusuf, set the tone, insisting that the time has come for Nigeria to act with urgency and purpose.
For Nigeria, these are moments of renewal, our chance to act with integrity, with urgency, and with inclusivity. Globally, the global environment is shifting. Growth is slowing, protectionism is rising, and geopolitical tensions are redrawing trade patterns. Development aid is shrinking as advanced economies battle fiscal pressures and aging populations. For Nigeria, the message is clear. External support will be limited. We must rely on resilience, reforms, and the discipline to attract investment, both domestic and foreign, and also to build credibility.
Vice President Kashim Shettima, representing President Bola Tinubu, reaffirmed government's commitment to restoring confidence and deepening collaboration with the private sector.
A debt of gratitude for staying with us through turbulent tides, for providing insights, for offering criticisms, and for reminding us that our collective goal is not comfort in divergence, but progress in convergence. Whatever our differences, we are bound by the same destination, the duty we owe our people.
On day 2, discussions focused on accountability and fiscal discipline. The Emir of Kanu, Muhammad Sanusi II, commended ongoing reforms but warned that policy inconsistency remains a major barrier to progress.
So take fiscal policy. We have improved revenues. Great. The revenue to GDP ratio has gone up. The debt service coverage has moved up. The deficit is down to 3% of GDP. These are fantastic. On the revenue side, we've done well. How about the expenditure side? The cost of governance, the quality of spending at both federal, state, and local levels. Are we getting value for money for the road contracts we're doing? For the capital projects we're doing? Are we still spending money through the National Assembly? Are we still doing constituency projects? Where are they going to?
By day 3, the conversation expanded beyond Nigeria's borders, exploring regional collaboration as the next frontier for growth across Africa. As deliberations ended, participants called for decisive implementation to move Nigeria from talk to tangible results. With the lights dimmed on NES 31, one message resonates clearly. Reform momentum must not fade. It must translate into shared prosperity, sustainable jobs, and inclusive growth. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
Joshua joins me now for a recap of the three-day event. Joshua, thank you for being here. I'll quickly just talk to us some of the key highlights, particularly towards implementation of all the conversation and ideas that were shared.
Well, the one and the two of the summit was not a short one. Immediately conversations concerning our business economy. More focus was placed on inclusion, particularly for marginalized communities. And for those who are living in rural areas where occasionally government very against them. And so the conversation was about, we understand that certain reforms were made and implemented by the government. And of course, in anticipation of these reforms, shops came, but how well the government implemented the shock absorbers to ensure that Nigerians who are at the bottom of the land are high and not ensure that the economic stability gets to them. However, the see was particularly the conversation extended beyond the shores of Nigeria and to Africa as a continent on basically how Africa as a continent can ensure that they enhance cross-border collaboration. Secondly, they focus on how to address the language and regulatory barriers. Of course, you know, the laws of several nations are key to that particular nation. But what they are saying is how well can this regulation be married to ensure that there is a legal and framework coherence across several nations, particularly neighboring African nations to Nigeria. And thirdly, they were saying that it is high time Nigeria, particularly Africa, look inward to mobilize investment. Of course, we understand that most of these investments are targeted beyond the shores of Africa, but they are saying that Africa has enough of its own resources to pull up the right investment to ensure economic growth. Felicity.
And it was reported that Vice President Kashim Shettima said that Nigeria has now moved past its instability stage and is wooing investors to make Nigeria their destination. Is it a statement you can corroborate, and what was the reaction of participants to it?
Of course. The Vice President made mention of that fact that Nigeria is ready and poised, particularly about the reforms they made. Well, the Vice President also made mention of the recent debacle between the Pegantan and the Dangote refinery, saying that Nigeria needs to treat its own investors well, particularly domestic investors, so to send a right signal across to those beyond the shore. He says that the way they treat Dangote, particularly this time, and as a result of the impasse, we actually tell the story of how Nigeria handles investors. So Nigeria is poised, yes, the reforms were made, yes. What they are saying is the government is ready to accommodate these investors. And of course, they are implementing some incentives to ensure that these investors are not kept away by so many taxes, so many laws, and bureaucracies, particularly red tapeism from the government.
Joshua, thank you for the update and the coverage.
It's a pleasure.
Coming up, court reserves ruling on Godwin Emefiele's evidence in his corruption charges. We'll tell you more about this when we come back from this very short break. Do stay with us. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Senate decries rising insecurity as House of Representatives condemn U.S. allegation of state-sponsored genocide. Cotton Falls and 31st Nigerian Economic Summit as Vice President Kashim Shettima woos investors with Nigeria's stability. UK police confirm Manchester synagogue attackers' claim of allegiance to Islamic State terrorists. An Ikeja Special Offences Court has adjourned until October 9 to rule on the admissibility of digital evidence presented by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Justice Ramano Shudi reserved the date after hearing arguments from both sides on the authenticity and certification of documents extracted from a former executive assistant to Emefiele. The former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, faces a 19-count charge bordering on receiving gratification and corrupt demands. His co-defendant, Henry Omole, faces a 3-count charge for unlawful acceptance of gifts by agents. The charges involve alleged transactions amounting to $4.5 billion and 2.8 billion naira. Now, staying with legal matters, the trial of detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has been adjourned to October 16, following the absence of a medical report from the Nigerian Medical Association. Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja postponed proceedings after being informed that the NMA's medical panel had yet to complete its assessment of Kanu's health condition. The court had earlier directed the association to independently determine whether Kanu's medical needs could be adequately managed by the Department of State Services facility or if he should be transferred to the National Hospital. The delay has raised fresh concerns among his legal team over his health and the prolonged detention, while the government insists that due process is being followed. To the lower legislative chamber now, members have condemned a bill before the United States Senate seeking to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern over alleged violations of religious freedom. Lawmakers say the move is based on misinformation and risk undermining Nigeria's sovereignty and its global image. News Central's correspondent Idong Joseph reports.
An matter of urgent public importance, need for a coordinated diplomatic and domestic response to the proposed Nigerian Religious Freedom Accountability Act.
Among the several matters slated for discussion for the day was the proposed U.S. Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025 before the U.S. Senate. The bill, which has already been read twice in the U.S. Senate, seeks to impose sanctions on Nigerian officials over alleged religious persecution. However, members of Nigeria's House of Representatives condemned the proposal, describing it as a misrepresentation of the reality on ground.
And if we do not take urgent steps to nip it in the bud and it passes the Senate, to reverse it will take us a longer time and cost us even more resources. Mr. Speaker,
lawmakers from different geopolitical zones of the country backed the motion, describing the U.S. bill as an attempt to disparage Nigeria's image before the international community.
I've had calls to engage the mission in Nigeria here and to tell them that the issue at hand is not religious. I cited the case of Mr. President being a Muslim married to a Christian.
Trying to designate Nigeria as one of the CPCs by imposing sanctions on Nigeria, I don't think is something that this parliament can sit down and watch it flowing like a water under the river without asking questions.
Others want that the nation must strengthen its diplomatic presence in key international capitals to counter false narratives about the country. They say that the U.S. proposed legislation, if passed, could have far-reaching consequences on Nigeria.
this is the time, Mr. Speaker. This is the time to wake up. Let's begin to interface with our colleagues in the U.S. Congress.
At the end of the deliberation, the House resolved to mandate its committees on foreign affairs, national security, intelligence, police affairs, interior, civil society, human rights, and national orientation and values to take immediate diplomatic and legislative action. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
A former Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Geoffrey Naji, has said his resignation from President Bola Tinubu's cabinet was a decision to protect his integrity and prevent distractions to the federal government's renewed hope agenda. He had resigned from his post on Tuesday amid controversies surrounding academic records and allegations of certificate forgery against him. Nnamdi, whose resignation was confirmed by the presidency on Tuesday, said in a statement that he stepped down after deep reflection and consultation with family, associates, and well-meaning Nigerians. Now, according to him, his exit followed an orchestrated, sustained campaign of falsehood, politically motivated and malicious attacks targeted at his person and others over the past week. Let's get some thoughts on this. A legal practitioner, Tunji Abdulhamid, joins me now to take a look at this allegation, not just of certificate forgery, but allegations of genocide by the U.S. Thank you once again for being here. Let's take on the implications for Uche Nnamdi's case. Take a bow. DSS investigates before he's confirmed, and then we have the UNN giving two separate statements on one result. I mean, where do we begin to tackle this matter? Whose responsibility is it to investigate? And again, there is the aspect of the federal government's acceptance of his resignation. We've accepted, go on. What should be the action of this nation?
Let me start from the question who is to investigate. I think the responsibility lies on the security agencies. In this case, I think the DSS and the other agency that has been saddled that responsibility by the government. I don't. The essence of a minister appearing or submitting their credentials.
Tunji, I'm sorry to interject, but if you're saying who is investigating, they already failed because they were supposed to have investigated before he was screened to become a minister in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And then you have the institution which allegedly issued a certificate confirming on the one hand and then reneging that same confirmation subsequently. So I'm kind of worried when you said it is the DSS that should be investigating. They seem to have done that and they failed woefully.
Felicity, I was asking you a question as to who is to investigate. I was answering your question that the responsibility of investigating whoever that has been nominated is on the security agencies. Whenever they have been their names are submitted, they do what they call a security investigation or whatever they call it, and it's that security investigation that nullified the nomination of El-Rufai in their own according to them. What I want to say is that look, I don't believe that they do any proper screening or investigation of a document submitted or even the person involved. As long as that person has the support of the president, they go ahead to confirm, to even do and confirm that it's genuine without doing much. If they have done all their proper investigation, all this will have been unraveled. This is not the first time. Kemi Adosun was also screened by them, and thereafter it was discovered that she had a fake NYC certificate. So what I'm trying to say is that, look, those who are supposed to be responsible for the investigation of this whatever is security agencies, not even the National Assembly. The National Assembly job is just to ask questions and then confirm them.
Tunji, not to overflock the point I was trying to. I get you when you said it is the DSS that investigates, but my point is they are supposed to have done that job already and they have failed. So where does that leave us if it is the DSS that is responsible for this investigation we're talking about?
I agree with you that if they did not fail, that this will not happen. They will have discovered it before now. And that's what I'm saying, that they fail in their responsibility because they believe that once somebody is nominated by the president, that person must be clear. So that's the point I'm making, that they don't do their job thoroughly. They do it based on the interest of the president or the presidency. Or whoever that is in charge. That's the point I'm making.
All right. In the limited time that we have, I want to make a reference to a case in 2023. I think the Enugu State Governor, Peter Mba, there was questions about his certification, his clearance from NYSC. NYSC was charged with about 5 million naira as fine for putting him through that process after the court cleared him that the certificate was authentic. Does that give impetus to perhaps Nnamdi's insistence that he has done no wrong and he did not resign because he was guilty, but that he resigned to allow the government focus on what they need to do?
I think, firstly, if I get you right, it is not the responsibility of the court to determine whether a certificate is genuine or not. That is sometimes that is the mistake we make. Sometimes when the court make a decision, they were not looking at the genuineness of an issue. They look at what you present before them, whether or not you are able to establish anything or not. If there is no defense to a case, the court will just say you have won your case or you have done this and that. That does not mean they've done their investigation and confirmed that it was genuine. So the fact that the court has said somebody or clear somebody of malpractice or fraudulent, just like the president's case, the court did not do any investigation. But today, tomorrow, somebody will come and say the court has cleared the president. No, they did not do investigation regarding the certificate of the president. What they said was that those who made the allegation could not provide evidence to substantiate it. So if tomorrow somebody else can bring evidence that will substantiate that, they can take a different position in that regard.
Quite unfortunate our reality. Quite unfortunate our reality. We need in the court to clarify whether we went to do national aid service or not, if it is politics. But in the interest of time, please, let's talk about the House.
It's the NYC that can clarify it. They are the ones that they have the custody of the document. So if they are not able to clarify, and the court is the one that's saying, no, you have a genuine certificate, how do they ascertain that? When the person responsible or who's in custody operation of the document?
I guess that's a question for legal minds to continue to tackle and explore. But let's go quickly to the U.S. Talk to us about the implication the House of Representatives' condemnation of the U.S. bill that have on Nigeria's international relations in terms of, the allegation of genocide.
I think I want to align with them because I don't know how this U.S. got to that conclusion. What their investigation? How do they arrive at that conclusion? Has anybody been arrested and then confirmed that these people was arrested and he claimed that it was because of this and that, and some people said they should go and be killing Christians. You see, they generalize and say there's insecurity in Nigeria and the government is not able to tackle it. Yes, I will agree with that, but saying tagging it to a particular religion or particular set or whatever, that would create. How do they ascertain that when people are being killed? Are they not aware that Muslims also are being killed? The traditional worshippers have been killed in this regard. People are being killed in Kwara State today. Those who are killing them don't care whether or not they are Christian or Muslim. I was told that a few weeks ago, some days ago, that people who are coming from the prayer mosque in the morning in a particular state were killed. So how can we now say they are killing Christians or they are sponsoring them to kill Christians? Who are those sponsoring?
Tunji, I wish we had more time. I would really. I'm sorry to interject. I wish we had more time, but that's all we could take for this conversation. Thank you very much for speaking with us, as always.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Still ahead tonight, Madagascar protesters reject talks with president as they call for nationwide strike. We will bring you this story and more when we return. Leaders and professionals, as well as financial experts and innovators from across Nigeria, have converged on Abuja for the 55th annual conference of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN. The event, known as one of the most prestigious gatherings of stakeholders in the financial sector, is expected to shape the future of accountancy, underscoring the profession's responsibility to drive transparency, accountability, and ethical governance in the nation's reform journey. News Central's Aishat Saliu reports.
Participants say the conference is timely as Nigeria stands at a defining moment faced with economic uncertainties, global financial shocks, domestic fiscal challenges, and a dynamic business environment. Themed Building Resilience, aligning reforms for Nigeria's development, stakeholders believe it is a strategic imperative to push for reforms, transparency and accountability in the accounting and financial sectors, the very backbone of economic management, resource optimization and governance.
We must revive, modernize our non-oil engines such as agriculture,
manufacturing, and creative and digital services so that no single commodity can hold Nigeria on stage to the global price swings.
The imperative of Nigeria's assuming its leadership position is amplified by the rapidly evolving global alignments and realignments that pose potential risks to Africa's sovereignty and competitiveness, which could threaten further marginalization.
The accountancy profession, as a trusted and influential public interest profession, should have a clear, unified voice in how society can best undergo this sustainability transformation.
Many here say that investing in human capital development, prudent utilization of resources, empowering local communities, restoring investor confidence, among others, will boost the country's economy and build a strong and viral nation.
The previous incentive framework that was in place rewarded what we call rent seeking. It rewarded unproductive activity, which benefited those who had privileged access to the resources of the country.
The financial strength cascading to the subnationals as a result of the policies is enabling a foundational shift. States and local governments are now better funded than ever before to implement policies targeted at reducing inequality, policies in transportation, healthcare, and education.
Nigerians have demonstrated extraordinary tenacity, innovation, hard work, and hope in overcoming all challenges. Therefore, resilience must be supported by robust and adaptable systems that can strive in uncertainty.
While it is resolved that the alignment of financial and accounting reforms with national development goals is non-negotiable, many here call for stronger institutions administered via pragmatic policies, saying that they will enhance diversification of the nation's economy. In Abuja, for News Central, Aishat Salihu.
The Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCAM, has partnered the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee to host a virtual session on Nigeria's new tax laws. The session themed Impact of the New Tax Reforms Law on Nigerians in the Diaspora will hold on Friday, October 10, 2025 at 4 p.m. Nigerian time. Chairman of NIDCAM, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, says the initiative reflects the federal government's drive for transparency and inclusive policy making. Let's also tell you that the Nigerian Association of Liquefied Petroleum Gas Marketers say some retailers are exploiting a current supply shortage to hike the price of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, also known as cooking gas. The association's national president on Wednesday during Channels Television's The Morning Brief clarified that the price of the product has not been officially increased. He added that Nigerians would continue to enjoy cooking gas at reasonable prices once the supply situation stabilizes. On Tuesday, Professor Mahmood Yakubu resigned his role as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, following the expiration of his tenure. Yakubu has handed over to May Abomuche, who is the oldest serving national commissioner, and assumed the leadership role during a meeting with resident electoral commissioners in Abuja effective Tuesday. Yakubu called on all commissioners and directors to fully support Abomuche until a substantive chairman is appointed. Jacob Pele, public policy analyst, he joins me now for this conversation. Thank you very much for being here. It's been 10 years. He's finally bowed out of office. Give a quick assessment of his time and the comments about what he could have done differently.
All right. I think I would describe the entrance and the exit of Professor Mahmood Yakubu in three perspectives: the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is he did his effort. He did made some giant strides in reorganizing the internal structure of INEC, although eventually it snowballed into a very big Iroko tree whose branch withered. And so the reforms that he wanted to bring in INEC sort of failed because I think he should have concentrated his effort on building the capacity of the staff of INEC. He didn't very much succeed at that. One good thing he did was inclusivity. He did establish the framework for inclusivity, created a division for inclusivity, ensured the participation of persons with disability in the electoral process, although we got very trickle of success. The bad was his inability to translate all of the frameworks, especially in inclusivity that he established, into operational result. And so you will find this, you'll find a situation where, yes, he's speaking inclusivity, but his people is not doing inclusivity. The ugly was 2023. And I think it will go down in record. Yes, go ahead.
No, I just want to, no, I'm just trying to indicate that you need to wrap up with that thought.
Okay. Yeah, so the ugly was 2023. 2023 election was the worst election as far as I'm concerned, apart from 2015. They were the worst election that I can never forget. It was an election where he overpromised and underperformed. And that has sort of withdrawn the confidence that people have in INEC. So any incoming chairman of INEC will have a very Herculean task.
Talking of incoming chairman now, the president is on a shopping, how do I put it now, a shopping spree for a successor, and a lot of names are flying around, including the current acting. What are your thoughts on who would succeed and what qualities we should be looking for in a successor to Professor Mahmood Yakubu?
Well, I don't know who will succeed and will sit as the chairman of INEC, but I sure know who will not. I don't think that May, the current acting chairman, is looking for such position, and I don't think they can cope with her standard. May is a very straightforward, trusted, very skilled leader who will not take instruction from anybody, but will do what he sees in the book. I don't think May is interested in the chairmanship of INEC. I had a brief meeting with her today just to lend my support what she's doing in the acting position. But she's the longest serving national commissioner and has been REC in Rivers, in Bayelsa, and we have our records. But whoever takes on that, steps into that mantle of leadership will have a lot of work to do.
Indeed.
For Nigerians to trust in INEC.
And a lot of expectations in the coming elections. Thank you very much, sir, for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Youth-led protests in Madagascar continue as the Gen Z Mada movement refused to engage in dialogue with President Andry Rajoelina, calling instead for a national strike and new demonstrations on Thursday. The protests, which began nearly 2 weeks ago over frequent power and water cuts, have resulted in at least 22 deaths. President Rajoelina responded last week by dismissing his entire government and appointing an army general as prime minister. Let's tell you about the man who attacked the synagogue in the British city of Manchester that left 2 Jewish worshippers dead. He had pledged allegiance to ISIS during the attack. In a statement confirming this on Wednesday, the United Kingdom Counter-Terror Police revealed that the attacker, Jihad al-Shamir, called emergency services to declare he was acting for ISIS as he carried out the attack at the synagogue on October 2. Want a short break, and on the flip side we have business, sports and entertainment news. Don't go away.
The World Bank projects Nigeria's economy will grow by 4.4% in 2027. This is from 4.2% in 2025, driven by services, agriculture, and non-oil industries. This is from its October 2025 Nigeria Development Update, themed From Policy to People, bringing the reform gains home. It further added that Nigeria's economy expanded by 3.9% in Q1 of 2025 on the heels of stronger reserves of $42 billion and a declining public debt to GDP ratio. However, the report cautioned that macroeconomic gains have yet to ease widespread poverty and food insecurity. It urged reforms to remove trade barriers, fueling food inflation, improve fiscal transparency, and expand social protection. The World Bank stressed that the reform's success depends on improving citizens' welfare, not just economic stability. Nigeria plans to raise $2.3 billion from the Eurobond market before year-end, marking its second return to international borrowing since December's $2.2 billion issue. The country also intends to launch a $500 million sovereign sukuk, its first Islamic bond, to fund infrastructure projects and refinance maturing debts. According to Patience Oniha, Director General of the Debt Management Office, the issuance's pricing will depend on market conditions. President Bola Tinubu has requested lawmakers' approval for the loans to support the 2025 budget and repay Eurobonds due next month. Moving on to the NGX, Nigeria's equities market extended its rebound today as the all-share index rose 0.5% to close at 145,719.09 basis points. And this was largely driven by renewed investor interest in banking and oil and gas stocks. Market capitalization inched up to 92.49 trillion naira, signaling cautious optimism despite mixed sectoral performance. Gains in key sectors offset mild losses in insurance and consumer goods. Now let's take a look at what's happening in sectoral performance. As I said earlier on, today is quite mixed, and banking was up by 0.12%. Insurance took a hit, dropping by 0.75%. Oil and gas was also up 0.59%. Consumer goods dropped 0.01%, and industrial goods was down by 0.02%. And that's how the market wrapped up today, with a modest gain, but one that hints investors are slowly regaining confidence ahead of earnings season. If the current momentum holds, we could see more positive moves in the coming days. Well, that's all on business tonight, but stay tuned as Okpe comes up next with sports. My name is Chamun Dabeng.
Egypt and Ghana have qualified for the 2026 FIFA World Cup after comfortable victories away from home. Egypt became the third African country to book their spot at the tournament with an easy 3-0 win over Djibouti in Casablanca, with Liverpool striker Mohamed Salah scoring twice. The result secured them top place in Group A with one game remaining. Ghana crushed the Central African Republic 5-0 in El Jadida, Morocco, to book their ticket as well. The Black Stars maintained their 3-point lead at the top of Group I over Madagascar, who won 2-1 away to Comoros in their match played in Abidjan. With just one round remaining, Ghana enjoy a clear advantage on goal difference. Meanwhile, Cape Verde remained top of Group D on 20 points, with Cameroon second on 18 points. Meanwhile, reports from the camp of the Super Eagles in Polokwane, South Africa, reveal that there are now 20 players in the team's camp following the arrival of FC Porto left-back Zaidu Sanusi and Sevilla striker Ako Adams earlier today. The Eagles face the Crocodiles of Lesotho in the first of two must-win matches on Friday if they are to stand a chance of qualifying for next year's FIFA World Cup. Some of the players admitted that the team is under pressure, but they are confident that they can get the needed results. Let's take a listen to some of the Super Eagles players.
We know where we are at the moment, and these two games are very crucial. But first of all, we focus on the Lesotho one, and then we look towards the Benin one. But the most important right now is the Lesotho one.
To remain calm and do what we have to. I think this is not the first time club or country any one of us have been in high pressure moments. So I think we've got an experienced team.
Nigeria's Flying Eagles are currently locked in battle with Argentina in a round of 16 clash at the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Santiago, Chile, which is going on at the moment. Nigeria currently trails by 2 goals behind. And that's all on sports tonight. Entertainment with Edewo is up next.
Time for entertainment with Edewo. Hello, Edewo.
Hi, Felicity. How you doing?
I'm great.
All right. Well, entertainment space is full of surprises today, but I'm going to give you all the details shortly. All right, now let's jump right into it as Rolling Stone has unveiled its list of 250 greatest songs of the 21st century so far, and Afrobeats is proudly flying the flag. Yeah, the list celebrates global hits across genres with several African stars making waves. Davido's Unavailable, featuring Musa Keys, landed at number 243. Rema's Woman followed at number 222. And Thames appeared twice. Free Mind at number 232. And her global hit with Wizkid, Essence, ranking an impressive number 22. Now, Burna Boy's Last also made the list at number 95, while South Africa's Tyler, she earns her own spot at number 135 with Water. On the global front, we all know that Beyonce and Jay-Z, their Crazy in Love hits the spot at number 2, and Taylor Swift, All Too Well, at number 5, now dominating the top spots. I must say that Afrobeats is truly cutting across borders and shaping new music narratives worldwide. And we're here to always bring you the news. Big news, big things for Afrobeats. Now let's go into some drama. Yeah, as gospel star Chandler Moore, shocking exit from Maverick City Music just got messier. What happened? Now, the Grammy winner has filed a major lawsuit against his former manager, Norman Gaffey, accusing him of fraud, forgery, and stealing millions in royalties. Now, Moore claims Gaffey secretly took control of his songs, forged his signature, and even redirected his earnings to Tribal and Maverick City without consent. Now, the twist, Gaffey later became the group's CEO from 2020 to 2023. He reportedly managed almost every part of Moore's career. Now, Moore is fighting back in court, demanding damages and the cancellation of all shady contracts. Well, neither side has spoken anything publicly, but as it unfolds, we will be here to give you the tea. You remember when I said it's a bit controversial at the beginning? Well, this is what we have here on Entertainment News, but that's all we have, though, on Entertainment Tonight.
And that's all the news we have for you tonight. As always, we'd love your feedback and your eyewitness report. Do share them using the WhatsApp number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.